everyone, welcome to today's Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're joining me because today we are cracking open a massive mystery happening right now in the modern workplace. We are literally surrounded by new AI hiring tools hitting the market every single week. They're promising to solve all our recruitment woes, and honestly, the promises they make are completely off the charts. But as we start relying more and more on algorithms to build our teams, we really have to stop and ask ourselves a fundamental question. What are these AI hiring tools actually measuring? Are they genuinely finding the best talent, or are we just caught in a massive AI hiring accuracy illusion? Well, let's find out. If you've looked into hiring tech recently, you have almost certainly seen vendor marketing that sounds exactly like this. Our AI is 90% accurate. It's flashy, it's super confident, and quite frankly, it sounds incredibly impressive. If you're a busy hiring manager or a recruiter trying to sift through thousands of resumes, a 90% success rate sounds like an absolute dream come true, right? But I want you to hold on to your skepticism for just a minute, because this flashy, confident claim introduces the central problem we're unpacking today. You see, when a vendor throws a massive percentage at you, you've got to puncture that hype with one very simple rhetorical question. Accurate at predicting what exactly? I know, it sounds like a basic question, but it creates instant tension. Because the reality of these tools is often completely disconnected from what you actually want them to do. Are they accurate at predicting long-term job success? Or are they just highly accurate at picking candidates who happen to look really good on paper? Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap. We'll start with the accuracy illusion, then we'll uncover the proxy metric trap. From there, we're going to look at structured versus unstructured predictors, how to actually validate your AI tool, and finally, how to spot vendor red flags. All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the accuracy illusion. We really need to question the surface-level marketing of hiring tech, because the word accuracy is doing a ton of heavy lifting for vendors. It often masks what the machine learning models are truly optimizing for in the background. If you dig into a white paper, you'll find they usually mean one of four things. The first two, predicting who gets shortlisted by a recruiter and predicting who will accept an offer, well, those are what we call operational proxies. They're definitely useful for speeding up your workflows, but they tell you absolutely nothing about the actual quality of the employee. The other two, predicting 6 to 12-month performance and predicting retention past 1 year, now those are your genuine quality of hire metrics. Bottom line, if your AI isn't predicting those last two, it's not predicting a good hire. We really need to emphasize the juxtaposition here. Think about the massive difference between an AI trained to mimic a recruiter's subjective preferences versus an AI predicting true quality of hire. Predicting who a human recruiter likes is fundamentally different from predicting who will actually succeed in the role over the long term. A tool that is 90% accurate at predicting recruiter preference isn't some magic oracle. It's literally just a very fast, automated version of past human guesswork. And that brings us right to Section 2, the proxy metric trap. This is the intellectual core of our explainer today. And frankly, it's the part that should agitate anyone who actually cares about building great teams. This trap is exactly why highly advanced AI models still get hiring completely wrong. Let's define the concept clearly. A proxy metric is simply a measurable signal that stands in for something much harder to measure directly. Because actual human potential and future job performance are incredibly complex and super difficult to quantify, AI models look for shortcuts. It's kind of like assuming someone is a master chef just because they own really expensive knives. Make sense? I have to warn you, optimizing for these easy-to-measure signals is the real enemy of predictive hiring. The true danger lies in the difference between mirages and reality. An AI can easily hyperfixate on things like resume keyword density, prestigious school names, or just raw years of experience. And in doing so, it completely misses the actual adaptability and problem-solving skills the job requires. The system becomes absolutely amazing at predicting someone who simply looks good on paper, while completely ignoring the reality of actual on-the-job performance. Which leads us to Section 3, structured versus unstructured predictors. To understand how to fix this whole mess, we need to step away from the software for a second and look at decades of pre-AI hiring research. This proves a crucial point about the foundations of how we assess human beings. Think about the progression of assessment methods. Unstructured, casual interviews, and just screening a resume alone, they have incredibly weak predictive strength. They are famously unreliable. But as we move to structured interviews with consistent scoring, the predictive strength jumps up. Then we get to work sample tests and job simulations. Those are really strong. And the absolute strongest predictor of all is a combination of structured interviews and work samples. The huge lesson here is that an AI built on top of weak, unstructured data will always lose to an AI built on strong, job-relevant signals. Which brings us to this incredibly important summary. AI automating a weak process just creates a faster, weak process. AI isn't magic, guys. It cannot conjure predictive validity out of thin air. If a tool simply automates unstructured evaluations or surface-level resume scanning, it entirely inherits the historical weaknesses of those bad methods. You just get bad hiring decisions delivered at scale in milliseconds. So, how do we actually protect ourselves? That brings us to Section 4, validating your AI tool. It is time to take control of your hiring outcomes. You simply cannot take a vendor's glossy marketing brochure at face value. You have to prove it works in your own house. Here is your actionable playbook for internal validation. First, select a sample of recent hires that the AI strongly recommended. Second, track their actual performance and retention at these 6 and 12-month marks. Third, compare those outcomes against candidates you hired who are actually ranked lower by the tool. And finally, look for meaningful, data-driven performance gaps between those groups. Now, this true internal validation takes patience. It literally takes months to gather this data, but it is absolutely the only reliable proof of concept you should trust. And this internal validation builds a continuous feedback loop. A truly smart system needs to learn. You have to feed that real-world performance data right back into the AI's criteria. For example, if you notice that candidates with a certain fancy certification actually aren't performing well, you adjust the weightings for those poor predictors. And most importantly, get your hiring managers involved in reviewing the outcomes. This loop ensures the tool learns from actual human performance, so it doesn't drift off course and cost the company money by quietly overlooking great talent. All right, let's wrap things up with Section 5, spotting vendor red flags. Consider this your highly practical, rapid-fire BS detector for the next time you are sitting across from a sales rep pitching the latest hiring algorithm. If you see any of these major warning signs, run. If they give you precise accuracy percentages without explaining exactly what they are measuring, red flag. If they treat their matching criteria as some untouchable black box and refuse to share their validation methodology, huge red flag. If they claim universal accuracy across all industries, which, by the way, is biologically and statistically impossible given how different jobs are, red flag. And finally, if they pressure you to skip a pilot or trial period where you can actually test the outcomes for yourself, massive red flag. A tool built on solid, evidence-based principles welcomes scrutiny. So the crucial point is this. AI should be treated as a strong starting signal, not an infallible final verdict. Even the most validated, deeply researched algorithm cannot predict human behavior with absolute certainty. AI should be used for decision support, acting as a really powerful assistant alongside structured, consistent human assessment and job-specific evaluation. I want to leave you with this lingering, kind of provocative thought to take back to your own teams. Evaluate your AI tools on job relevance, predictive validity, and real-world outcomes, rather than blindly trusting a polished accuracy number. When you look at the systems you are using right now, ask yourself honestly, is your AI finding candidates who just look good on paper, or candidates who actually do the job well? Because if you don't know the answer, you might just be caught in the proxy metric trap. Demand validation, rely on structured signals, and keep asking the hard questions. Thanks for diving into this explainer with me today, and I'll catch you next time.